Hi, welcome to the Azure Data Factory training course. I'm Danny Kruge, and I'm gonna teach you about Data Factory. But what is this gonna be all about? So, yeah, what's the setup? I want to go through it with you so you get an idea of what the course is going to entail, who I am, an introduction to myself, and what you're going to be able to be learning. So, we're going to have different sections. We have an introduction and overview of the courses in section 1. We're going to have who I am. Section 2 will be about what is Data Factory. So all the different ins and outs of why you would even choose to use Data Factory. Section 3 will be the concepts and components. So the different use cases you can use and what are all the components within Data Factory. You'll learn what is Data Factory, the key concepts behind it, and the vital components that you need. Section 4. Synapse versus Data Factory versus Fabric. Obviously, there's so many different types of Data Factory now. It's good to know the differences and why you would choose one over the other. Section 5. How to deploy Data Factory. This is not going to be the CI/CD flow. I'm going to do a separate course for that, but this will be infrastructure as code via Terraform, Bicep, ARM, what kind of flavor you choose. I will be showing Terraform. That's what I use myself, but I can show you a basic of Bicep and you can see the differences. Section 6, I'm going to run out of fingers. I should have all my fingers. I got 10 fingers, so that works. Section 6, link services and data components. It's good to go through them to understand how you use them, why they're there, and the differences between some of them. Link services with Key Vault is in section 7. Section 7. That will show you how to integrate Key Vault and the secrets into the link service. Because you don't want to keep your secrets that way. You shouldn't keep your secrets within ADF directly. You want to keep them separately in a secure place. So how to get them straight into Data Factory itself. Section 8. Integration runtime. I call it the engine. Why? Because it's the main compute for Azure Data Factory. If you don't have integration runtimes, you have no compute. You need, it's basically the CPU, the memory, etc. You need something to do the main like heavy lifting of what you want to do. If it's transformations, even moving data, etc. You need something for that. Section 9. Whoop. There is multiple different types of integration runtimes. So I'll be talking about that, but section 9 has its own because a VNet integration runtime is a very different concept. So I want to go through in the big details of what that means and show you all about it. Section 10, the building blocks explained. So I'll talk about components of it, but I want to go into a bit more detail about these building blocks and how you start off with Data Factory and why you'd use them in certain places. So it'll be 10 sections. It's a beginner's guide to get into it. It will go a bit more in depth in certain levels. Let's see how we get on. But first things first, who am I? I'm talking to you. You don't know who I am. Me, myself, and I. Hopefully you like me. My LinkedIn is on the page now, so you can see that. Add me on there. This is where you can fire questions at me if you have any problems with the course or you have a question about it. Please feel free to reach out. I'm very open to talk about Data Factory. I love it. I'm a nerd. It's cool. Anywho, who am I though? I originally was a SQL DBA. I then became a mission critical engineer. What is a mission critical engineer? It's good to start off with that. It's not a simple. I work for a company called Schuberg Phillips. When you're a mission critical engineer, we look after customers who can't afford any downtime. So you have a very high SLA, you have really low RTO, RPO. These customers can't have any downtime at all, so you have high availability infrastructure. When we actually work with customers, you get like a team of 8 people, let's say roughly, depending on the customer size. But you'd have a guy who specializes in networks, a guy who specializes in containers and platform, data guy, you get the drift. So then together we build a team. But that also means what we normally do with a customer, we also plan it, so we're the architects, we build it, so we're the engineers, and we run it, so we're the ops guys. And that team stays with that customer throughout the journey. So if you plan it badly, you architecturally design it badly, you're going to have a bad time building it. And if you build it badly, you're going to have a bad time running it. So we have to do a good job. So mission critical engineer, actually, we wear many hats and we kind of cross over each other's expertise. But me, myself, I'm a SQL DBA. So I'm very good with the databases and the data side. So that's where I come into play. Anywho, that explains a mission critical engineer and what I do on a daily basis. How did I become a mission critical engineer? I think it's good for you to learn about my story, and you'll see like the guy who's actually training you. You don't always become a expert just like that. But I started off with first line IT support. Even before that, I was nothing to do with IT. I failed in IT when I was at school. I didn't want to learn spreadsheets about a sandwich shop and make that in Excel. Yeah, Excel's used everywhere, but that doesn't interest me. It was not fun. So I spent most of my time, and I'm a 90s kid, so miniclip.com, if you know that. So I spent most of the time playing games. Please don't do that if you're a child watching this. You should study. But hey ho. Anyway, I went to then. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school. I am from England, from Leicester. When I was growing up, most people wanted to be a tradesman, a carpenter, electrician, a plumber. So I thought, okay, I could try and be a plumber. There was no spaces left in college, so I couldn't become a plumber, couldn't become an electrician, carpenter. Didn't know what to do. I was making music at the time, or DJing at least. So my mum actually said to me, "Why don't you try one of these courses as a music production course?" I had to do a summer's course to even get eligible for that, but I did. So I spent my time doing a music production summer course, a few weeks, loved it, and I did 3 years then in college of music production. IT was not on my agenda whatsoever. I was DJing, making music, and plan B was IT because money's nice. I like money. So while I actually started off in a shoe store. It was called JJB Sports at the time. I was there just helping people choose shoes and whatever and so on. I then got a job as first line IT support. Within the first 6 months of working there, I was classed as new and developing during that time. It was during 2007, and that's when the crisis hit. So although 6 months in, I was writing all the documentation for the department. Training them, writing the documentation, training them, but classed as new and developing. They were happy to give me a title, which would then actually classify me as not as new and developing, but not the money, because they didn't want to spend money in that time during 2007 and that period. So that was not fun. And then after, I also spent a lot more time in the office being told off than actually doing my job. Luckily, a new manager came along and took me under her wing and saw, okay, this guy does have something. He just needs a bit more inspiration. And that did work. And then I was going to different stores. I was helping them become super users. So when they called, they had a bit more grasp of what we needed to check and help them fix the back office PCs or cash registers. After a while, I wanted to do more there because I was also writing documentation at one point for the third line support and helping out some of the engineering teams within there. So I wanted to become the next level up or do something in a different department. There was a job for a network engineer, but when I spoke to the manager, he wanted more of someone coming out of university or someone who had a CCNA. The company I was working for wouldn't fund that for me. I asked them, you could send me to this CCNA course, so I can then progress. They said no. So I was like, okay, well, I took a week holiday and I paid for it myself. And I became certified as a CCNA. And I was more certified than anyone in that whole department. No, none of the network engineers. We're talking about a company of like over 4,000 to 5,000 people, so the network team is quite big. And they were like, "Whoa, this guy is first line support, and he's actually CCNA." It kind of raised a lot of eyebrows. I didn't end up being a CCNA or network engineer. That's not part of my story. That just never happened. I loved it. It was fun. But what happened was there was a role for a junior SQL DBA. I applied for that, and even the day before the interview, I wasn't sure if I'd want it. The manager at the time was like, "I don't think it's for you. It's not really probably where your skills lie," or so on. And it took me back. So I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. Should I even go for this? My mom was like, just go for the interview. What's the worst that can happen? Go for the interview. If you like it, you'll find more out about the job. You don't have to take it. I got a phone call. The interview only lasted half an hour. It was really fast. And I got a phone call a couple of days later, and they offered me the job. And I was like, oh, oh wow, okay, that was not what I was. And I'm very happy I took the job. The people I worked with were so inspiring, and they really, really took the time for me to learn. And there's a guy called Phil Dobson. I really owe him a lot. He helped me a lot to learn the SQL knowledge that I know today. A lot was through him and the others. Obviously, I don't forget you guys, but anyway. Um, so I got the job as a SQL DBA, junior SQL DBA. I spent 6 months, 8 hours a day watching Pluralsight courses. So I was watching all these different guys, these SQL rock stars, and I was learning from them. And by the end, after like a year or two, I was the same level as them, knowledge-wise, as DBAs. They had a bit more experience, but we was all doing the same job. We was all doing the same tasks. But the same problem happened again. This same company was happy to give me a normal DBA title, but not the money. I like money. Everyone likes money. Like, money helps. I don't need to have loads of money. I'm doing the same job as them. So you want the same pay, obviously. I didn't know what to do, and I was 26 at that time. A lot of my friends were having kids in Leicester, and they had families, and I was a single guy, didn't know what to do. So I went traveling for 2 weeks in Bali. I met some Dutch guys, and I visited them a couple of times, and they were like, "Hey, dude, you like it here so much in Amsterdam, why don't you move here?" I was like, "Okay, I could find a job on a boat doing whatever, and then go on to my next trip." But during when I quit my job and didn't have a job in Amsterdam at the time. I was just going to go there and figure it out. I was young, wild, and free. Um, as I was planning to move there, a job came up as a SQL DBA for Albelly. And I thought, oh, yeah, they're offering good money. It looks like a cool company. I went there. They flew me over for technical interviews and normal interviews. I got the job. Oh, whoa, okay. I didn't tell them at the time. At the time, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be here for the long term. I loved it. Amsterdam was a beautiful place. The company was amazing, and I spent 4 years at that company. For the first 2 years, it was me and another guy, and we were the only DBAs there, and the infrastructure was quite small. So after 2 years, we fixed a lot. I was doing different posts on Redgate, which you can find. Shout if you want the link. But there was a cool blog post I've done off Redgate about stuff that I was doing for that company. After 2 years, yeah, it's quite a small company, so the infrastructure is quite small and the projects are quite slow. So I had 2 years of heavy learning, and then after that, it was kind of like plain sailing. And I wanted to do more. Schuberg Phillips came knocking on my door, and they are a candy store. They have all multiple customers. I think 60 plus customers. So if you have a small, if you don't have enough work here, there's enough work there, and they have all different things going on. So that's where my Azure journey actually started, was there. And I've done multiple speaking around Europe and even in Microsoft interviews, etc. So I've grown over the time, and I found what I love. And SQL DBA is my heart and my soul, but I love doing all different parts now with platform engineering and so on. So you'll hear different parts that I know for Data Factory, which helps me get a better, like a broad mindset of how things move. If you just only want to focus on one area, and that's platform engineering or databases, etc., you're missing a bigger concept of what could be happening behind the scenes. I tell that to different data engineers as well, because you can consider me as a data engineer now, but I know so much more infrastructure wise that I can deep dive into different issues a bit differently than others. I don't just focus on that. I also run Azure Heroes, as you can tell. I'm the main organizer, and I do meetups around the Netherlands and a conference once a year. And that's also part of Azure User Group. There's a mixture between the both. I have 2 kids and a beautiful partner, and I live in Laren. So that's enough about me. That's the end of section 1. I hope you enjoy my story about who I am. Please reach out if you have any questions about any parts that I've already said or about the training course. The section 2 will be what is ADF. So I hope to see you there. Enjoy.